Welcome to another broadcast of the Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and as always, you are invited to attend.
Would you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you change cameras, Jim?
Change Good morning and welcome to the September 18th meeting of the Lorain County Board of Commissioners. Mr. Kalo has the dog for today. I think the dog is dressed in black and white attire, same as he.
Hello. Come on. Hello. Hello. Our featured dog this week is an Australian cattle hound, actually the same type of dog Commissioner Kukowski has. She was found in Mill Hollow running around the park, got a great temperament. She'll be available for adoption on Tuesday at 10 a.m. September 23rd. She's a great dog. Look at her. I wish I had room for one more, but three's too many. My wife would kill me if I brought home a fourth. Stop by our dog kennel and find a new dog. This one's beautiful.
Look at
Yeah, how you doing?
dances.
Come on.
They're probably the smartest dogs on the face of the earth, so it makes somebody a great dog.
Beautiful dog.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. A thought for today: the only way to have a friend is to be one. Madam Clerk?
At 9:45, we're going to have presentations on the Small Business Development Center. 10 o'clock, there's going to be a public hearing on the first hearing on subdivision regulations. Under number 1, resolutions, job and family services bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Travel expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated in the summary for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Mr. Cortez?
Thank you, Madam President. I do have a number of hiring issues to discuss with you at the Job and Family Services. So I would, and also have a matter of bargaining that I would also wish to discuss. Both those topics are allowable under the Sunshine Law, so I would request that we have an executive session at the conclusion of our regular board meeting today. I figure it should be about 30 to 45 minutes at a minimum. There's quite a few things to
I'm
discuss.
going to set a timer.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the same for Lorain County Board of Commissioners meeting minutes for September 11th and 16th, which was the emergency and child care.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Support fully funded renewal of the Clean Ohio bond package, which will be placed on November 4, 2008 ballot in order to meet the growing demand for water and green space conservation projects, brownfield revitalization, recreational trail development, farmland preservation, and other important projects related to the Clean Ohio Fund.
Commissioner Kalo?
Yeah, actually, thank you, Commissioner. I was in Columbus going through our action items for next year. I serve on the Economic Development Infrastructure Committee for the state organization, and this is actually pressing. Please, if we can endorse this and send it forward. it will help in funding a lot of issues that are coming up for next year, which I'll go over in my report.
Okay, and in addition to that, last week, I announced the National Resource Assistance Council monies that are available to our District 9, which is Lorain, Huron, and Medina counties, of $1,222,585, and also reported that when this Clean Ohio grant portion became available to us in 2002, the first year, to date, we have awarded $6.1 million for projects. So this has been very helpful to the three-county area, and it's a good thing for us, I believe, and we've used the money wisely for green space. So I will move for approval.
A second.
Any further discussion? Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Approve and enter an agreement with Norfolk Southern Railroad Company, Atlanta, Georgia, to perform preliminary and engineering services relating to Lorain County Transportation Center. Services are not to exceed $15,000 and include interdepartmental circulation, review and approval process of plans, site visits, meetings, agreement preparation, and time for consultant if necessary. County will be charged actual costs associated for the project. Funds are available in the Transportation Center Professional Services account.
Jim, did you want to speak to this?
Well, a little explanation may be in order. We've been ready to go with Phase 2 of the planning for the Transportation Center for quite a while, but we still haven't reached resolution concerning the tunnels underneath the tracks. It came to our attention about 2 years ago that there was a defect with regard to use of those tunnels, and in the old property records, those tunnels were supposed to be backfilled and bricked in and sealed, and they weren't supposed to be available for use. This goes back into the early 50s or 40s. When we purchased the building, the tunnels, at least one of them was in use, and one of them had been boarded up by the previous owner. The one that was for the mechanic shop definitely was in use, and nobody had ever bricked them up. So we were going along on the assumption early on that, and it was represented that way to us, that the tunnels were part of the building. And doing all our research and due diligence, we discovered that they were not, and we've been trying to work through this issue with Norfolk Southern for quite a bit of time. I won't say that they have been uncooperative, but they're quite a large organization, and dealing with them is slower than a freight train moving through Route 58. So now they want to go back, and we have agreed to lease the tunnels from them, and they want to do some engineering work, and there's some other liability issues that need to be worked out, and they maybe need to get some insurance on it. And it's grinding forward, but we can't start Phase 2 until we have a firm understanding of what to do with these tunnels. And the one thing that I will tell you, and you have not seen the revised Phase 2 because we need to present it to you when we go to bid, is we're probably not going to be able to access platforms on the train station through the tunnels. They'll be used strictly for storage. And we have some revised designs to show you ways that we're going to elevate to the tracks that are used currently around Cleveland, which will be an outside platform, and it'll be very very much blending with the surrounding areas when the side and the parking lot's done. But in order to get that to you and make that presentation, we have to have this resolved. We have water intrusion in the tunnels. The tunnels directly lead into the building. The building only has 3 walls. As you may remember, the back wall is the embankment wall that holds up the tracks. We have to get in there. We have to seal from inside. They'll drill through, and then they seal the outside of the brickwork by intrusion of some kind of waterproof material that way. But we can't even do that work until we work out the lease on the tunnels. I know it sounds like a very simple thing that I'm making very complicated, but I wish it would get back to being simple. I was hoping that we would be moving into that building in the spring or the summer, or at least with our transit department, to start occupying it. But I don't know how long this is going to take, Commissioners, and we will get as quick resolution as we can, because I'm a little bit concerned with our federal earmarks, too. They're starting to get a little stale. I want to make sure that since our federal government's not doing so much better than us with funding, that they don't pull those earmarks back. We got to get them spent. So this is what this is for, and hopefully they won't ask for anything else, and we'll get this done.
Thank you. I will so move for approval.
Second.
Anything further? Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Approve and enter agreement with Barbara Harper and Hoffman, Inc., Cleveland, to perform engineering services for Lorain County Justice Center exterior masonry wall repair. Cost not to exceed $25,000 and be paid from Justice Center professional services account.
You probably need to detail this as well.
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. This is just part of the project that we're going to start in March. Barbara Hoffman will provide oversight, engineering oversight work to make sure that the repair work is completed in accordance with the specifications that we awarded a bid for a few months ago. They have worked with us before, and we need their expert help on this. Only thing I know about bricks is they hurt when you get hit in the head with them. So we're going to have to make sure that somebody else is up there. I don't want to have to come back and do this a third time with regard to this repair work.
Thank you. We don't want you to. Are there any other questions? Also move for approval.
Second.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under Children's Services, authorize various additions, deletions, personnel, and Children's Services to utilize the agency's Visa card for the year 2008, not exceed 2,500, 10,000, and 20,000, and Shell Oil gas cards not exceed 200. Expenditures are work related to conferences, food, lodging, telephone, gas, and oil. Minor vehicle maintenance and emergency repairs of county-owned or leased vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Under the Sheriff, receive and file the annual report submitted by Lorain County Sheriff's Office of all fines and costs collected by the Sheriff's Office for the year next preceding September 1st, 2008. Said report is being filed pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 311.16, and total amount of fines and costs collected are on the amount of $493,387.87.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Cortez, County Administrator?
I don't have any reports this morning. Thank you.
Mr. Searson, Assistant County Prosecutor?
Yes, I'm Scott Sayers, and I'm here for Jerry Ennis, who is unavailable today. I just wanted to say that I had the good fortune to attend a two-day environmental enforcement seminar last week put on by Solid Waste. It was an informative and engaging seminar. Most seminars we get are straight lecture, and they're deadly dull. This one was interesting because we got to go out to investigate an environmental crime. We took evidence. We interviewed witnesses. We actually had a trial, a jury trial. And I would recommend that anybody who's interested in this sign up for the next one. Right now they don't have a date certain, but if you check the website, they probably will have it on there, or the solid waste people can tell you when it's going to be. There's been somewhat of a delay because of the electricity situation. But beyond that, I have no further report. Thank you.
Commissioners report.
I don't have a report, but Marty, do you want to explain these to us? Each commissioner has one?
Good morning, commissioners and ladies and gentlemen. My name is Marty.
Where did she used to work at?
Oh, I'm a solid waste specialist for Lorain County Solid Waste Management District.
I'm being nervous, and you guys are
Every other year, the Boy Scouts do an encampment, and this year it's going to be held at the Wellington Fairgrounds. Sally Pecora and I are going to be educating the kids on the recycling and also making a ghostly Casper, which you have on your desk. They're made out of paperboard and the plastic newspaper sleeves. We're asking people to donate before September 30th to our office any items that are the paperboard and the plastic sleeves. Thank you, commissioners.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Nice idea, Marty, and you're right. We were pleased. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
All right, I've got one report. So. First of all, I'd like to thank Sheffield and Sheffield Lake and their school district. Friday night, they invited the commissioners. I represent the commissioners for dedication of new bleachers. It came from solid waste dollars, helping paying for that. Speaking to the superintendent and the athletic director, I guess the school was in really bad shape and there were injuries happening, so it was a nice replacement. Nice job there. Sunday, U.S. Senator Hillary Clinton was here. I had an opportunity to speak there and speak with her privately beforehand. She looks great now. I mean, after not campaigning all the time, she's really out there working for the Democrat candidate, but a wonderful lady to speak to. Then on Monday, which is going to be a long report, I attended our County Commissioners Association meeting as I spoke about putting together our priorities for next year for the state legislature. A couple of them I'll go through. They're recommending that all tax abatements now get approval from the county commissioners, not just through the local municipalities, but actually so we can do some competitive work that make it a benefit. All
cities?
tax abatements, all
Cities?
municipals and townships, everything goes through the county. And then also working the tax abatement with the enterprise zones, so we're at a competitive arena, not uncompetitive. They worked on reclassifying and getting more money, urging General Assembly to help with the conservancy districts, some of what we had with the Jarvis Babcock and his family's farm, expanding that. They brought up under our infrastructure area, we have bridge problems and road problems and underfunding in the state of Ohio. The main issue was the agribusiness, these mega farms coming to Ohio and the development they're having with the roads, but also it was added while we were there, we're talking about the wind turbines, the heavy equipment, where we will be able to, have those developers help with the infrastructure so the roads can handle it, doesn't fall on government. They're working on solid waste and cans and whatever. You were down a couple weeks ago, correct, Dan, working with Larry Long, permitting districts to adjust fees to make their landfills more competitive, clarifying the solid waste authority, making it easier to work through the EPA so rules weren't as strict, a little bit more flexibility for the locals. What else do we have in here? All kinds of good stuff. They ask for more money in airport funding. The airports in Ohio don't get near enough funding in comparison to other states, which puts us at a disadvantage economically. They worked a full formula funding for local government funds, so we actually get more money every year, not the new formula they put in, which is going to lower ours. Also, they're urging to keep the 31 cents on 911 for the phone calls, to keep that there because that actually runs out, which helps fund our 911 department. What else did we have here? It was real important. Oh, County Board of Revision changes. What they'd like to see is on tax foreclosures, for lower amounts under $50,000, that counties and cities and townships don't have to wait for it to go to sheriff's sale. They can purchase it based on tax delinquencies to expedite the process of cleaning up our neighborhoods where houses become slum and blighted, which I thought was a very quick change. And then also, Board of Revision changes, anything that are small adjustments to expedite the process of getting it through, so there isn't as much work involved. If a home on one side is valued at $85,000, a house on the other side is at $45,000, and then one house is $130,000. There's been some problems based on opinions of appraisers. They'd like to make that a little bit expedited so it can be done quicker and get the tax rolls figured out. But it was very informative. When I was down there, only about 60% of our committee showed up due to the problems from Ike hitting us. Downtown Columbus had no street lights. They had no stoplights working, so it was interesting to hear all the problems. We've had some tragedies here in Lorain County and just hear what happened around the state. And this morning we received an email, Sherrod Brown and George Voinovich have applied for emergency funding to get expedited from the federal government to help with all the cleanups and the problems that we're having, especially with getting people back online with their electricity. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. For the media, I have a news release about the 9th Annual Summit for the Lorain County Community Alliance, which is Friday, October the 3rd. I will leave copies here. We have speaking, invited Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur, committed Congresswoman Betty Sutton, Team Lorain County CEO Steve Morey, and Medina County Commissioner and recipient of the 2008 Wally Ehrenfeld Award for Outstanding Regional Contribution, Medina County Commissioner Steve Hambley. I said that twice, I apologize. We'd love to have you come and network with us. The cost is $15 for Alliance members, $20 for non-members. We're having a continental breakfast and a lunch. The title is Focus on Job Creation and Retention. That's my report.
You forgot the transit. I thought you were going to do the transit dollars last Friday. NOACA.
Help me out. I forgot. That was last week.
Right, that was Friday.
Go ahead, you can do
Okay,
it.
all right. Last week,
That
the
was
full
last
board of NOACA approved the redistribution of dollars, emergency ODOT funds to shore up the transit systems in our 5-county district. They worked out a very good plan. It took a little bit more money than what was originally figured, additional $700,000. So it went from $10.5 million to $11.2 million. Lorain County Transit's in line to receive about $645,000, which should stave off any of the cuts that were being proposed, that I was arguing against anyway. We'd find a way to do the money, so. Also, I did have a talk this week. We were all in Cleveland Sunday, 3 Board of Commissioners, our state rep and state senator, governor, talking about the upcoming elections, and I spoke to Jose Candelario, and he's got some new numbers. He'll be visiting us next week, I believe, correct, Jim? Jose Candelario next week, the Board of Elections with the new laws that Jennifer Bruner sent down.
Board of Elections and Veterans will be visiting us also,
Okay, well,
right after that. Not
What
at
I
the same
asked through Jose Candelario, which I asked him to take to his board, and I think,
October 9th, sorry.
that's okay, Veterans are October. But I asked, they've got that 5-day window of voting, and I've never felt government's very consumer-friendly. We've talked about that many times. Cuyahoga County, during that week, is going to keep their Board of Elections open until 7 o'clock in the evening. Ours is scheduled from 8:30 to 4:30. I asked Mr. Candelario if he could talk to his board to possibly extend the voting hours that week till 7 o'clock, just because it is a new part of our law that was passed in state legislature a couple years ago. So people have the opportunity to vote. I mean, we all work, 8:30 to 4:30 government, so does everyone else, and I think a lot of people gave up their lives for the right to vote, that we should extend the hours. So I would like to, if we could send that as a board action, ask them to extend those hours for that 5 or 6 days.
I will certainly talk to
Agreement?
them. Obviously, they're going to want more money for salaries if they do that.
Well, no, when my speaking,
No,
they'll be
you
processing
rotate-
anyway.
you
It may be
rotate
a
your
few
hours.
Well, maybe a few hours, because they'll be processing at that point with the new mandates from Jennifer Bruner.
Right.
But it should be minimal dollars, because they're there anyway, just to have somebody to bring the people in and let them vote. So if we
Well,
can send that from the Board of
I'll certainly have
Commissioners, I would
something
appreciate it.
communicated with Mr. Candelario, and I'll also send it on to the Board of Elections members.
Thank you.
Remembering that they're in charge.
That's why I said I would send it to him, Madam.
No,
You sure you don't have anything else?
I think I'm done there. It's been a busy week.
Commissioners are going to send a proclamation at the request of the National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse at Columbia University, proclaiming next Tuesday, September 22nd, as Family Day, a day to eat dinner with your children, and also next week is all family participation week. So, and the only other thing that came in this morning was that the engineers will be temporarily closing the county garage facility for fuel on Saturday, September 20th, from 8 to 3. Board correspondence?
I move the reading be waived.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Do you want to go to the public?
Public
Okay.
comment, Shirley's on her way
Sure.
to the mic.
Okay.
Shirley R. Johnson Oberlin. I wonder if Mr. Kayla could explain a little more the point of the state legislature's recommendation that all tax abatements for municipalities go through the commissioners and how that would work.
That's not the state legislature, that's the County Commissioners Association of Ohio.
The
It's
who?
County Commissioners Association of Ohio.
Okay.
It's one of our action items. What's been happening across the state, not as much up here, but down south, they've got a lot of townships who are competing on giving abatements in small communities and negotiating with cities for sewer services and such. And what's happening, we've got townships that are in disarray and are failing because of all the abatements they've given up, and then they have all the road concerns and services they have to provide. So if the county commissioners doing it, that is competitive but still responsible government, you won't have as many issues out there. So that's what the commissioners spoke about last week. We had about 60% of our committee was there. There was about 11 of us, and I think there's 16 of us total. So-
I thought you were talking about all the municipalities. I thought you
Municipalities
mentioned.
and townships, all final tax abatements go through the county commissioners, correct. So you don't have communities, certain communities. If a company A is situated in the city of Lorain, and they've run out of their tax abatement time, companies are picking up and moving right across the border. I mean, it's a major issue to communities, and until some type of regional process is put together for income tax sharing, which is being worked on through NOACA, they've discussed it, and other organizations, the Mayors and Managers Association in Northeast Ohio are working on a process where you don't have rating of communities. We should be looking at attracting companies from other places into our communities versus stealing them from our neighbors next door. So it would keep it on a fair ground when it ended up at the commissioner's desk.
Yeah, good luck.
Well,
I mean,
it's one of the action items to be discussed. I mean, a lot of the action items, Commissioner Blair's been around for 4+ terms. I mean, it takes years to work on these processes to where they're fair, but it's one of the action items that we're going to bring to the table
Then you'll
next
have to
year.
move next to, then the various counties can make an agreement with other counties, and then states make an agreement with other states in order to keep companies from
Well,
moving.
Well, correct, I mean, but it's in the benefit of the communities, not to lose. I mean, you just announced this morning, Eaton Corporation in downtown Cleveland.
Yeah.
One of their largest companies, one of the top taxpayers in that community is moving out. And they're working on a redevelopment in downtown Cleveland. What benefits in Cleveland worked with them for over a year. But they decided to go out to virgin property, build something brand new and make it beautiful to the detriment of the urban core. And everybody's allowed to grow. We're not arguing that point. The townships are gonna grow just as much as revitalizing our cities. But to take a Eaton Corporation out of downtown Cleveland, which is struggling anyway, and move it out to a suburb, I don't think is wise planning. Eaton Corporation's great for them. They're getting their abatement, getting a brand new facility. But in the overall scheme of things, they're moving 10 miles down the road. Is there any benefit to that?
Well, I understand what the problem is, but I was wondering how you were going to expedite something like that.
Well, it goes to
Thank
you put it in an action item, and then the staff at CCAO will work through the committees at the state legislature, introducing legislation, bargaining back and forth, and they'll work with all the communities, because you have the Mayors and Managers Association, I'm sure, going to have some disagreement at that point, because they want their own home rule.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the discussion points. It could take years, but it's got to be brought up and addressed. If we don't work on some type of regional concept, we're going to have nothing but problems for Ohio and Northeast Ohio in particular.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Go to.
I think we want to hear from Paul Kukuka. It's our
He has
small
business to meet
business
with.
development coordinator.
Jim's got to switch.
Jim, you have to switch.
Wake up, Jim.
Quit reading your mail. Quit multitasking.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Paul Kakucha. I'm Director of the Small Business Development Center here in Lorain County, which is a partnership of Lorain County and Lorain County Chamber of Commerce. The Small Business Development Centers are a statewide organization. There's 38 SBDCs across the state, sponsored by the Small Business Administration and the Ohio Department of Development. Here in the county, the funds are provided by you county commissioners and the Chamber of Commerce. We do, a lot of people, when they're talking about the SBDC, they say, okay, the SBDC is the place you go when you want money. And we do help people with financing, but we help people with a lot of things. Our programming, less than 5%, less than 4% of our clients are actually involved in financing and refinancing. The bulk of what we do involves counseling, business planning assistance in securing financing, of course, seminars and training, and then there's some expanded programming I'd like to talk about as we get further into the presentation. When we talk about counseling, many of the people that we deal with at the Small Business Development Center are interested in starting up businesses. And there's all sorts of businesses that need all sorts of startup help. It's not just, I have an idea and like in the movies where they decide they're suddenly going to put on a play in the barn. I mean, this is a couple examples of business startup. There's a company that does computer numeric control repairs. They repair those large machines that run off the computers in manufacturing facilities. And he came to me because his business is growing so fast. He has so much business, he couldn't handle all the different things, all the different functionalities that are involved in the business. And so he needed just some help in setting everything up. He didn't need financing, but he needed some help in establishing the business. Or there's a custom millwork company that was working in Lorain, and they had a similar sort of problem because so many of the lumber yards are being challenged by DIY and Lowe's and things like that. There's less custom cutting, and so what he was doing was basically, instead of buying sheet stock, he'd cut the cabinets out so they could assemble them on site, and they wouldn't have to worry about the control of the components. And his particular problem was his building facility, and we worked through that, again, with some of the other people in the Lorain partnership. I help many people with business acquisitions, and there's a lot of people who are interested in bars or restaurants or other businesses they're familiar with. And we've helped, several of the people we've helped have actually acquired different sorts of businesses. We get very much involved in market planning because often people come to us, and again, I talked about people coming to us for financial help, but a lot of times, and particularly in this economy, the help that they need is in finding customers. They're the kind of businesses that maybe aren't doing as well as they've done in the past. And the problem isn't so much that they need a loan, because the problem with a loan, of course, is you have to pay it back. But the problem is they don't have a sufficient customer base. And so for those people, we concern ourselves with identifying customers, identifying trading areas. Sometimes the customers have moved away. Sometimes the character of the customer has changed with the change in generations. Sometimes we have to figure out different kind of marketing plans, and sometimes we have to figure out how to change the product line to address the new markets and keep those businesses in business. We help people with cash flow analysis, which can be a very tricky thing, particularly in companies that are bringing novel products or potentially have explosive growth. For example, there's a video recognition company. Basically, they work with robotics, they set up cameras in automated production lines, and the problem is in bringing the new product to market, there were certain companies that were willing to invest and certain companies that wanted to wait, but there was a large amount of money that they had to produce and schedule so that they could have the proper components, have the proper employees, have the things in place that they needed. And so we worked on figuring out the cash flow. And as it turned out, the person didn't need a loan. The person could work these things through by properly managing their receipts and having progress payments on their contracts. We help people with franchising. Franchising is a wonderful way to go into business. When we have people who are taking buyouts or leaving with their 401k or other money, they have a certain amount of money. The nice thing about franchising is they give you get an entire business system, okay? And by that I mean, in this country, we talk about this being a capitalist country and a country operating by business, but really, unless you've grown up where your father runs a store or something like that, most of us know how to be employees. Most of us are trained in being employees, and we don't necessarily so much know how to operate a business. And so when we look at a franchise opportunity, when somebody's worked at another position and they've had responsibility, but they haven't maybe covered all the business functionalities, moving into the proper franchise with the proper support from the franchisor is a good way to successfully enter business. Okay, and of course I'll talk about access to capital, but that's both equity and debt financing in just a moment. We do succession planning, helping people transfer their company. We become involved in things like ESOPs and ESOTs, employee stock ownership plans and employee stock ownership trust, and other sorts of vehicles to make succession planning happen when it looks like there might not be enough money to cover all the things that are involved in the transition of a business. We're becoming more involved in international trade, and in fact, on September 30th, we're going to be having a seminar here to help businesses export, because one of the advantages of the soft dollar is it makes American products more competitive in foreign markets, and particularly since our largest trading partner is just across the lake, this kind of exporting could very much help our local businesses and our county economy. And we're trying to take advantage of that. We're having a seminar. We're having the international trade people come in on September 30th right here on the 4th floor. And if people are interested in doing that, they need to get in contact with me or Team Lorain County, because it is a limited attendance event. And it's for established business. It's not so much for people who are thinking about going into business. We also get involved in government contracting and credit repair. We get into a lot of other things. For example, one company recently came to me because they were growing and they had been dealing with their people as independent contractors and paying them with 1099s. And they wanted to transition to make these people actual employees with benefits. And there's a number of things involved in considerations of benefit plans, but there's also things like unemployment compensation, workers' compensation, and other legal matters that you have to be concerned about in those kind of activities. Now, just as an idea of, I've just talked about the counseling we do. For all these things, we have metrics. And for counseling, a counseling metric, last fiscal year, 2007, and our fiscal year ends in September, the SBDC served 47 clients. In fiscal 2008, 201 clients. The state has given this center a goal of 200 clients, and I should say that 201 clients was through about 3 weeks ago, so we'll probably finish the year somewhere around 215 or 220 clients. Besides the counseling, we help people with financial planning, and again, I'm thinking about, well, for example, there was a tutoring franchise, a person who was interested in establishing a franchise for after-school tutoring, and she didn't have the money together necessary for this particular franchise, and it wasn't probably a proper situation for conventional financing, and so we had to go into how we were going to do this thing, how she was going to get, and she needed some fairly expensive retail rental space, and we developed her business plan and her finances so that she was able to she was able to approach this with various assets of her own and a much less necessary amount of bank financing. We help people with market planning. Couple examples, I had a florist shop come in, and they were in a relatively small community, and there were a couple other florist shops, and it was a matter of identifying what their market was, where they were going to get their business. We had a massotherapist come in, a medical massotherapist. There are more and more massotherapists around and more people involved in massage, and again, it was a matter of identifying the market, identifying who to address your marketing efforts to. In the case of a medical massotherapist, yes, you want to address the ultimate customer, but it becomes very important to address actually the channels, the doctors that make the referrals for the medical massotherapy. Business plan development is a big part of what we do. People come in with these good ideas. They're not sure how to make the business happen. And so, and again, because they're used to being employees and they're not used to operating businesses, and they're not sure how to do this thing, we get them started on a business planning program, and we help them develop a business plan which develops all the different aspects of the business. And I've been working for some time now with a person who wants to manufacture post-market products in motorcycles, hitches and some custom chrome work for motorcycles and things. And he needed some milling machines. He hadn't done anything like this before. He'd been a machinist all his life, okay? But we put everything together. We addressed all the different things, and he was a quick learner. He put together an excellent business plan, and we take him for financing, and frankly, I'm hoping this afternoon, because I've already talked with a banker and so forth, to get the good news that we actually got him a loan, and that we'll actually get him established in his small business in Amherst. Now, with the business planning, all these things, we have metrics again, and when we talk about business planning, we talk about jobs preserved or created. In fiscal year 2007, there were 4. In fiscal year 2008, we're talking about 19. The state goal for this metric is, for this SBDC, is 15. Okay, now what we're mostly known for at the SBDC, because I guess it's the flashiest thing we do, is helping people get money. A lot of people come in, and the first thing they want, before they even talk about the business, they want to talk about getting money. We help people get money from local banks, both with SBA and conventional financing. But what we help people with is the financial process, because it is a process. For a new business, almost certainly you're going to need a business plan as the ticket that will allow you to make a good presentation to the bank. Without that business plan, you're really not going to go anyplace. But we help people not only establish the business plan, but we talk a great deal about the process, a great deal about how to work with the banks, what you have to do. I'll even do role plays with the people for what a business loan application would be like with the bankers at the banks. In this time of tight money, and I want to say, I spoke to you, I think it was last August, and shortly after I spoke to you, right around Labor Day, we had the subprime mortgage bubble hit, and all of a sudden money became very, very tight. And then things loosened up a bit, and then again, money became even tighter just about the beginning of the summer. And so it becomes very difficult in times of tight money to get loans because so much of what's involved actually depends on the personal credit score. And when banks start looking for credit scores above 700, and entrepreneurial people tend to be risk takers and tend to have more average credit scores in the 600s, it suddenly becomes very difficult to find any bank that's willing to step forward and take a chance on a new business venture. So at the SBDC, we have contacts with out-of-state, non-local lenders that operate through the SBA, and we can help people contact those lenders to get the money that they need. We also get involved in bond financing. As a matter of fact, by far the largest loan that we were involved in this year was a bond financing deal through the SBA 504 program, a $1.77 million deal. We also are involved in county port authority bonds. Now, we haven't brought anything successfully forward yet, but I think we're on the brink of bringing something forward that will result in some development money through the bond financing. I also have another 504 project working that I expect will be over $1 million. But again, those things are things that are in process. A lot of the things that I'm talking about, I've been here for about a year, and a lot of these things just take a period of time to develop because there are so many pieces that come together into the puzzle. I'm also at the point of helping a particular company attempt to secure some venture capital financing. And again, this is a process. I've been working with these people for almost 9 months, and we are just now ready to approach well, in fact, we'll probably approach some SBICs because of the amount of money involved. But we're just to that point, okay? And then there's other kinds of equity participation things, and I'm thinking, in particular, there's a large entertainment venue that serves the southern part of the county that is in transition, that will require a change of ownership in the near term, and it's important to the people as far south as Ashland, that we get this deal done, but it's a difficult deal for a lot of reasons. I mean, it's an old facility with a lot of deferred maintenance and the business has been living off this deferred maintenance for a long time, and it's really, everything's coming to a head. The deferred maintenance needs to be attended to. The building needs to be acquired. There's just a lot of things involved that make it a very difficult deal. But I'm pretty confident we're going to get it done in the next few months. But again, it's an ongoing process that involves a lot of partners and a lot of pieces to make these things happen. Now, as far as securing financing, our metrics there, in 2007, the state set a goal of us for $700,000. In 2007, we did one loan for $45,000, falling far short of our $700,000 goal. In 2008, we had the same $700,000 goal, and this year we did 13 loans for $2.8 million, and the biggest loan, of course, the most significant loan being that one loan for $1.7 million. But we've had a pretty solid year as far as our capital metrics. We've obviously succeeded by several times our state-sponsored goal, and in fact, we've met all our state goals, so which is, again, a very important and big change from 2007. Besides helping people acquire financing, we reach out to people to help them form their businesses. We have a number of business startup seminars at the Lorain Public Library that are very well attended. We have one almost once a month. We are adding the seminars at the Elyria Public Library, and hopefully, although we really haven't developed things, having seminars at the Wellington Center of LC3, again for business startup. In addition to running those seminars, I make presentations at a lot of conferences on a number of topics relating to startup businesses. There are all sorts of organizations that ask me to come in, and I speak to them either at luncheons or in the evening. And we also at the center get involved in other seminars and training. For example, LC3 has an entrepreneurial training program. It's a certificate program as opposed to a degree program, and I help instruct in that program as well. The seminar metrics, I'm sorry, I skipped a slide. I didn't mean to.
Push previous, Paul. There, put it on previous.
I'm sorry, I apologize. I'll just read, the seminar conducted in fiscal 2007 were 5. The seminars we conducted in fiscal 2008, 14. Other training in fiscal 2007, there wasn't any. Other training in fiscal 2008, not counting speaking engagements, we had 8 events. The state goal was a total of 12 seminars and other training, so we far exceeded that goal. And then I want to talk a little bit about expanded programming. In the course of talking with the clients that we do have come in, again, a lot of people have good ideas, but for small loans, certainly for loans under $150,000, the biggest criteria for getting the loan is your personal credit score. And a lot of the people that come in, particularly when they push the minimum credit score from 600 to 650 to 680 to 700 and even more, one of the important things we do is credit repair. And we help people repair their credit so that it properly reflects their credit experience, and so that they are more in a position to get a loan. And credit repair can take a long time. So some of the clients coming in, sometimes it's a matter of teaching them how to manage their own credit, and sometimes because it's a low reward, long-term process, we need a more established credit repair program. Second thing is we have people who don't need a lot of money, and sometimes because of the paperwork involved, banks really aren't interested in making very small loans. For example, we had a person who wanted to develop a hot dog cart to serve downtown Lorraine. She'd run the hot dog cart at the International Festival. She'd have it there for the office workers at the municipal offices. She could take it out to the Lakeside Park and sell hot dogs there. And if you're familiar with hot dog carts in Cleveland, they're very successful, and certainly a single hot dog cart should be successful here. The woman needed less than $1,500. She needed about $1,300. But because of the nature of her credit, she didn't have a credit card and she couldn't pull it down from a credit card. She certainly wasn't going to get it from a bank. And there are numerous examples like that, sometimes a little bit more. Micro-lending programs generally extend up to $25,000 or $30,000 for a loan. Those are the small loans in the micro-lending program. What we are working on now, I've been working with several banks on trying to address these issues and develop both credit repair program, micro-lending program. And we've recently started working with LC3 through a grant that they got through the Community Foundation to develop both a micro-lending and a credit repair program. And I am very hopeful that for the first time, before the end of the year, we will have both a micro-lending program and a formal credit repair program in place. But again, those things are still in the works. I've also been working with some bankers about developing a high school credit management coursework that we hopefully would initially install at Elyria High School and then expand to other high schools in the county, because so many people with these credit repair problems make simple credit mistakes that lead to greater trouble and greater problems down the line. And so when they come and they want to start a business, their credit is not in the kind of shape that we need to get the loans that they need to start their businesses. And so I'm working with some people at First Merit Bank about doing something to address that problem. There will be future expanded programming, but I mean things are in such early development stage that we can't talk about it, but I hope we'll be able to tell you how these things proceed at the next time I address this body. Now, there's no metrics. The state hasn't established any measure for developing programming to serve our local needs. So all these programs are just things that we are doing here in Lorain County to make it more business responsive. When I came on board, the SBDC needed to be reorganized to operate itself more like a business. Going from 47 clients to over 200 clients doesn't just magically happen. There's marketing involved, there's strategic alliances involved, there's allocation of limited resources involved. These programs that I'm talking about, this expanding programming, are the programmatic tools we need to address and to expand and continue our growth here at the SBDC. Now, I want to point out very carefully that the growth partnership established by the county commissioners has been an invaluable tool and resource in our ongoing business development efforts. I have a very close working relationship with Glide. In fact, very early on, I started going out to Glide 1 day a week. Now I'm going out there about 1.5 days a week. I would say almost 45% of the clients that I serve come from Glide referrals. Other members of the partnership have also referred clients to us as well as offered their expertise and support. I wanted to put up a slide particularly about the growth partnership because the growth partnership has been a key element in the successes that the SBDC has had this year. Okay, I just want to finally close by saying the SBDC has had a solid year of reestablishment and growth. And we've more than met the state expectations. Because of our successes this year, doubtless our goals will be higher next year. Next year, I expect to appear before you again with the numbers from 2008 that I've just shown you, as well as the new numbers from fiscal 2009. I fully expect that once again we will exceed those numbers, this year's numbers, and next year's state goals. And so at this point, there's not much more to say other than it's the time for talk for over, the time to do has come once again, and I thank you for the opportunity of allowing me to talk about the Small Business Development Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. It looks like you've had an excellent year on our behalf, and we certainly do appreciate what you're doing.
The SBDC is actually very critical. I remember back in '95 when I went out on my own, working through the chamber at the time, Frank DiTilio and Dennis Jones back in '95. Was that who it was, Frank? Critical to help me build my business plan because I was just an employee in management, decided to be an entrepreneur and on my own. So it was critical, and SBDC is doing a very nice job. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Commissioners, can I have just a few brief comments? First, I want to point out why Paul's here again, and he's had a great year, is because we have a unique partnership that's not mirrored anywhere else in the state with regard to our collaboration with the Chamber as far as running the SBDC. We do it through the growth partnership. There's only two places that an SBDC can be housed, and that is at an educational facility or a Chamber of Commerce. We suffered some setbacks 2 years ago within Lorain County because of funding issues with SBDC. We entered that collaborative relationship with them. The commission has stepped to the plate to make sure that we had an SBDC in Lorain County because we almost didn't have one. We almost lost our certification. I see Mr. DiTilio shaking his head at the back of the room that's correct. It was only through the partnership and through the support of the Board of Commissioners and your leadership that we were able to maintain those services here. And we had a couple ups and downs in the beginning, and Paul came on board. And we've been able to achieve these successes because of that unique relationship that we share that nobody else in the state does right now. And I think maybe we have the only SBDC that's met all the goals for the state last year. You and I talked about that. A lot of the SBDCs don't meet those goals, Paul, and I'm not sure that's an accurate statement, but it's got to be pretty close.
I'd hate to make that statement because there's been a lot of development, so much work on the state's side. I really would be uncomfortable making that statement. I think there's probably been at least a few other SBDCs that have met their goals.
But it's rare, or maybe it's becoming less rare, but in the past, it was not something that occurred with a great amount of frequency.
Yes, but also, I mean, to be fair, I must say, some of our goals were low because of some of the problems that we had. So I don't want to minimize my own efforts, certainly. But
And we don't want you to.
Excuse me. Oh, thank you. But I just I want to be clear that we have worked hard to reestablish the SBDC. Prior, when we were having the problems that Mr. Cortez was talking about, we had long periods of time when there was no executive director. There wasn't anything happening at the SBDC. Much of the time I've spent this year has been reestablishing relationships with the partnership, and my God, what an excellent asset that partnership is. There's no way we would have hit these numbers. There's no way we would have hit this performance without the partnership and the things that the commissioners have set up here. We have done, I am proud of the job that we have done, but I can't overstate too much. In relation to the other SBDCs, we were coming from an unusual place. We made progress that has very much pleased the state. We've done very well, and we've met our goals. And Mr. Cortez is absolutely correct. There's not a lot of SBDCs that are going to be able to say that, but I think there's going to be certainly more than us.
Well, sounds good. Sounds like things are changing at the state, too, with regards to their requirements for the program and what they're doing. I'm just glad that we have another valuable resource in the growth partnership, and clearly the relationship with Glide that we established early on. I believe you have an office out there, too, a satellite office that
Yes,
you use.
sir.
It's not just that you visit there.
No.
Once the Entrepreneurial Center opened up, we established a satellite office for SBDC there because it's so closely aligned with entrepreneurialism and what they're doing out there at the center. And we have all the right people in the right places doing the right things. We just continue to try to catch that star like we did last year. But I think the economic development team in Lorain County, vis-a-vis the growth partnership, is got all cylinders moving in the right direction, and we're looking for more and more successes. And Paul's done a great job, Commissioners, on your behalf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And at this time, we will have our public hearing on the first hearing on subdivision regulations update, facilitated by Kristen Brandon of our Lorain County Community Development Department. Good morning, Kristen.
Thank you, Commissioners. I promise to make this short for you.
Thank you.
This is our first public hearing for our draft subdivision regulations. The Subdivision Regulation Update Committee was formed in January of this year. The committee consisted of the County Planning Commission members, Lorain County Community Development Department staff, as well as staff from the County Engineer's Office, Soil and Water Conservation District, Prosecutor's Office, Auditor's Office, Recorder's Office, and the County Tax Map Office. The committee met once a month for 6 months and reviewed each chapter of our existing subdivision regulations and made recommendations for changing those regulations and updating those regulations. The draft regulations were put together in July of 2008, and in August of 2008, that went before the County Planning Commission, and they recommended approval of the draft regulations and that it be forwarded to the county commissioners for their consideration. Most of the changes are fairly small in nature. We have a lot of small things like changing terms, definitions, procedures, things like that, renumbering, typographical errors, things like that. Some of the larger changes included incorporating previous amendments to the resolution that were separate from the document, incorporating existing procedures that were practiced but not an actual part of the document. We updated the variance language that was in the regulations. We updated the fee schedule to make that more on par with what other counties are charging. We also expanded the number of items that needed to be submitted for approval of a subdivision and some of the details requested on those items. Lastly, there were 2 new policies and procedures that were adopted into the regulations. The first is we incorporated regulations to address the new erosion and sediment control regulations that we have adopted, as well as updated the sections that addressed the floodplain regulations. So we added some detail to that section. And the second is we are now requiring that improvement plans be approved by the county engineer's office prior to submittal for final plat approval. Previously, they had to be submitted at the same time, and under the time constraints that we only have 30 days to approve them. And frequently, the county engineers could not approve the plans in our 30-day time period, so they were given contingent approvals. So we just decided to skip that step, make sure that the plans were approved prior to submittal for final approval. So that's all I have for you today. If anybody has any questions or comments, I'd be glad to address those.
We
Do have a
received
letter.
We received a letter this
from-
morning from the superintendent from Carlisle Township, and basically, he wanted to know if we can encourage the developers to finish the improvements properly and have them follow through with a dedication in a timely manner. Also, having houses built and occupied before the improvements are dedicated is working against the homeowner, he stated. Townships have no authority to address the problems they have, and the developers have no reason to seek dedication if they can build houses. The improvements go unfinished, and the townships and the county engineer's office have no leverage to get the developers to finish what they have started. Is this something that we would like to address and put in this?
It was one of our discussion items. Unfortunately, our county subdivision regulations don't address that. That really has to be incorporated in the engineer's design standards and specification manual. They've had a few problems with developers that start a project and then the bond or whichever financing source that they use is drawn upon to a point that it's so small the developer isn't under any kind of urge or rush to complete the job. And that's something that the prosecutor's office and the county engineers want to work on to get a firmer language, so that way that they can hold that money over their heads, and if they want their money back, then they have to finish their improvements.
So it'll be
But that's
part
not
of the
really
engineer's
addressed in
office
our-
for the approval from them, not from us
Yes.
then?
So,
Yeah, basically, our rules and regulations stop when the plan's approved, and the county engineer's regulations then take over the construction of the actual improvements themselves.
would you suggest that we ask Teresa to forward a copy of this both to the prosecutor and to the engineer?
I think that would be very good.
Okay,
And a copy of Mr. Shore's letter.
that's what I'm talking about. Okay?
I have it, I'll keep that.
I don't
You
want
have
it,
it?
thank you. It's yours. You have 2 copies, give it to her.
I'll give that one to the engineers then.
You gave it to us. I see, I'm sorry. Okay. Any other comments, since this is a public hearing? Or questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Do we need any action to close it or anything? I'll move the hearing be closed.
I'll second.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay.
I have this, thank you. If you guys want to.
Okay, I'm trying to get. no-
Trying to get rid of that piece of
nobody-
paper, huh?
Nobody wants my copy. Okay,
Well, you can
I'm,
give it to me. I'll give that to the engineers.
I wrote on mine.
I wrote Scott on mine. I was trying to give it to Scott. Yes, do it. I move that the commissioners go into executive session for the purposes outlined by the county administrator.
A second.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Thank you.
Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Thursday mornings at 9:30 at the Lorain County Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, And as always, you are invited to attend. Carpooling, a great way to save on fuel, tolls, and parking. Serving 13 counties, secure and safe Ohio rideshare makes it easy to connect with carpool partners safely. You control information shared. Discuss your destinations and needs through our safe site. Carpooling reduces pollution and traffic congestion, while it lowers stress and gives riders time to read, work, sleep, socialize. 1-800-825-RIDE or register online at ohiorideshare.com. Point, click, ride.
Pedestrian injuries represent the second largest number in motor-related deaths. In the current report by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, of the 812 traffic fatalities for children ages 5 to 9, almost one-third, that's 254, were pedestrian fatalities. These numbers were just very staggering to me in this office. Most of these were from pedestrian crossings. Children not educated in crossing streets where there are sidewalks and obviously stoplights, or where there are no sidewalks and there are stop signs. So basically, it was based on the fact that they aren't getting proper education, or they hadn't any education on how to cross streets with sidewalks or without sidewalks. So that's what really got us motivated to look into this and do something about it.
County Engineer's Office is quite proud to announce that the Safe Routes to School program has been initiated throughout Lorain County. We're very excited about this. To help these children from grades K to 4, teaching them to walk the street safely is very important to us. We've seen statistics that quite frankly shock us. Many times we read and see stories of pedestrians being hit by automobiles in Lorain County, and it just tears my heart to see these children from K to 4 part of that. This program is to stop that, to help diminish those type of situations, and to educate these children on crossing the street safely. And we're quite happy to announce that.
Most of our workshop was developed and made in-house. Simulated sidewalks, simulated streets. We have actual working stoplights. We have the pedestrian crossing signs that actually work. We have operational railroad crossings. We also have the regular road signs, like your pedestrian crossing, your stop sign, your railroad sign. So we have all of these different things that the children can not only visualize, but then we actually interact the children in those situations so they can not only see, but they can use these in their learning abilities on how to cross the streets with and without sidewalks. We've had so many good responses back from the children, and of course it's just like anything else with children. When you ask for volunteers, when you're talking in a group of 60 and you can only have 8, it's amazing at the hands that go up. You know, does anybody want to volunteer? Well, everybody wants to volunteer. We make them go over these skills that we're trying to teach them, not only the volunteers, but the group as a whole. So basically we have the whole class interacting. So if they say left, right, left, behind you, in front of you once, they say it at least 8 or 10 times before the workshop is over. So we've had many teachers and many principals tell us, and we even had one child that came up to us and said, you know what, Miss Spansky, we were going to cross the street the other day and we remembered, look left, look right, look left. So that was very rewarding. And so I think the repetition, the interaction with the children and with the items in our workshop is very important to them and to us. Before you even go into the safety part of it, they're in awe over the traffic light, and then our railroad crossing signals actually work. So they're just like, ooh. And we get up there and we tell them, and we even give them some trick questions. You know, we'll say, well, we can see that train all the way down the track. Do you think we can make it, because you're fast and I'm fast and we can run? And of course they're very enthusiastic and no, we shouldn't do this. So we teach them that in some urban areas you will not have the gates that come down to keep you actually from crossing, that you may just have two sets of tracks, and just because one goes by and the signals stop doesn't mean that another one can't come from the other direction. So we tell them it's very, very imperative that they stay back from the tracks and they wait till those signals stop and to look both ways. And even once those signals stop, to look both ways, and they should never run across the railroad tracks. They should walk and continue to look both ways, because it's not safe and they could fall. They could injure themselves. If they're alone, if they're not with someone, it could be very dangerous, because not only could they injure themselves, they may not have help if there is a train coming, because they are so small. And as you know, some of those tracks are very large, and you're talking in kindergarten through 4th grade, some of those children are very small children. The main thing is that we tell them that only you know when it's safe. You have to make that ultimate decision. So make sure that you know that it's safe before you cross those railroad tracks or a street. One of the other things that we cover in the safety workshop, and it's also repeated in our video, children don't have that perception of the miles per hour. It's very dangerous. And the same thing with trains. We tell them that train could take, you know, forever. It's way down there, but we don't know the actual miles per hour. We decided to use 2 different videos. The first one is geared for kindergarten and 1st grade, and that is Otto the Otto, put out by AAA.
Hi, kids. A lot of times you have to walk to get to places. And when you're walking, you have to be especially careful of cars and bicycles. Oh no, those kids are walking the wrong way. That's dangerous. I'm going to talk with these kids. Down at the clubhouse, they're talking about the safe way to walk on streets without sidewalks.
I say you can walk across the street anywhere you want, as long as you look first. And don't get squished flat by a car. That's a fairly simple way of looking at safety. There are actual rules and laws for walking. Yeah, but the most important one is you don't get squished flat. Who's right, Maggie? Patrick or us?
I guess in a sense, everyone's right. The main idea is to get there safely, but there are some rules to help you get there safely, like don't run out into the street without looking.
The second video, we show 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, and it is put together by the National Safety Council along with Honda, and they developed the first humanoid robot.
Hey, Osmo. What's up, Osmo? How's it going? Osmo, this is Michael. Michael, this is Osmo.
How come you dressed in a robot suit? It's not a suit. I'm a real robot. My name, Osimo, stands for Advanced Step in Innovative Mobility. I'm the world's most advanced humanoid robot. I can walk forwards, backwards, and even climb stairs just like a human. So, what's the first rule about crossing the street?
Stopping at curbs.
Correct. First, always stop at the curb. Then make sure no cars are coming. You want to look left.
It's clear.
Then right to see if any cars are coming from the other direction.
That's clear too.
Cars move fast. There might already be a new car to the left. So look left again.
Car coming.
See what I mean? Okay, he's gone.
Kids love this. They relate to Osmo, as well as the younger children relate to Otto, who is an animated automobile. And he tells them about crossing streets. Osmo does the same thing, and he actually goes through with the children and tells them how to cross the street at an intersection with a traffic light, with the pedestrian crossing. He also teaches them how to cross because a lot of children at schools have parked cars. He goes over the issues of how to cross when there are parked cars. So he does a number of different things, how to cross the street when there are no sidewalks. So they both cover the basic skills. One is just geared a little bit more for the different age groups. Our response has been amazing, not only from the children. We have received numerous cards. I have a whole box of thank yous from children from the schools where we have that have participated in our workshop. We've had nothing but a positive response back throughout the communities that we visited this year.
I think it was really nice because they had a real life robot talk to you about safety, and you got to actually do what he said was safe. He said when there are parked cars to make sure there are no drivers in before you cross the street.
I saw that we could know what to do when there's cars coming, not to go in the middle of the road so you don't get hurt. You have to look left, right, left, behind the shoulder, and then straight. If they don't know how to stop at sidewalks, then I'll tell them how to. If they don't know how to cross without sidewalks, then I'll tell them how to do that too, because that's what we learned. I think that it was good because I didn't know that you had the 5 ways, which were left, right, left, and going over your shoulder, and then ahead of you. I thought that crossing the road was really good for little kids if they don't know what to do by crossing the road.
It's a good idea because, like I said, the kids could walk through the whole process of crossing streets with the crosswalk, without a crosswalk, at the intersection. What happens if you're crossing in between 2 parked cars? Those are things that parents don't teach their kids. They go to Safety Town and they learn left, look right, look left again, and they go. And even my own son, who's a kindergartner, he just did Safety Town, and I still catch him flying across the street. And all I have to do is say, Matthew, remember Asimo? And he stops and he thinks and he does all the steps that he was taught in the video.
It was a great refresher, especially for them, now knowing, what to do and kind of even additional things that they may not have been told or considered before.
Most of the kids did their little safety program back when they were getting ready to go to kindergarten. They start out learning all those safety rules. Then as time goes on, if you don't reinforce those safety rules and keep telling them, just like we do as adults, we think we're safe. We don't have to follow those rules anymore. We can do what we want. We can take a chance and run across the road. And I think this program was very good at reinforcing the fact that even though we're growing up, we still have to be careful. We still have to follow the signs. We still have to follow the railroad crossings, especially around here in Amherst. We tend to have a little trouble with the railroad crossings and kids wanting to play on them. So I think it was a good review. I think it was done in a fun, learning way, and the kids really enjoyed it. We were very happy to have everyone here at St. Joseph's School.
If it saves one life, we feel like we've made a contribution. It's our way to give back to the communities.
In 1787, the Continental Congress organized the lands from the Ohio River to the Mississippi into the Northwest Territories. In 1803, the first of these territories to become a state was Ohio. Ohio was in turn divided into various land grants, including the Connecticut Western Reserve in the northeast corner of the state. The Western Reserve included the area that is today Lorain County. As Ohio gradually increased its counties to the present 88, the land we know as Lorain County went through several changes. Until 1810, the area was split between Geauga and Portage counties. When the area was being organized into Lorain County in 1822, it was created out of land from Huron, Cuyahoga, and Medina counties. At the time of its birth, Lorain County included Olmsted Township, now in Cuyahoga County, Spencer and Homer Townships, now in Medina County, and Troy and Sullivan Townships, now in Ashland County. This map illustrates the county as it appeared at the time of Ohio's centennial, and although some of the townships have been absorbed by incorporation, it also represents the shape of Lorain County today. Let's take a brief historical look at each of Lorain County's 21 townships. In 1807, the Calvin Hoadley and Herman Bronson families of Waterbury, Connecticut, began the settlement of Columbia. After a 3-month trek, the pioneers arrived in their new homeland in time to celebrate Christmas. The Bronsons, including their 7-month-old son, began that winter sheltered by their overturned bobsled wagon, converted into a frontier lean-to. The mouth of the Black River also saw the beginning of its first settlement in 1807, when Azariah Beebe established a trading post for Nathan Perry. This area, which 20 years earlier had seen a short-lived Moravian mission, would gradually grow into the village of Charleston in the township called Black River. Years later, this township would be removed from county maps because of the incorporation of the city of Lorain. Charleston adopted the county's name of Lorain when the city was incorporated in 1874. The dramatic growth of the city was spurred on by the expanding fishing and shipbuilding industries. In 1894, when Tom Johnson brought his steel mill to town, Lorain's destiny to be the county's largest city was assured. In 1813, the township of Ridgeville was officially organized. 3 years earlier, members of the Beebe, Terrell, and Root families had established this new settlement they called Rootstown. The change to Ridgeville was decided upon to indicate the sand ridges that passed through the area and provided transportation routes and fertile farmland. The area around the intersection of Butternut Ridge and Roots Road, first called Briggs Corner, was by 1880 known as Fields Corners and was the site of the town's water well. With the growth of the city of North Ridgeville, the township of Ridgeville was incorporated out of existence. In 1810, Silas Wilmot, along with Asa and Ira Morgan, erected a cabin on Butternut Ridge, and the community later called Eaton Township was begun. Wilmot married Chloe Hubbard of Ashtabula, and they were given the cabin, thereby becoming the township's pioneering couple. When Ridgeville Township was organized in 1813, it included Eaton, which was at that time called Holbrook. While the area was still a part of Cuyahoga County, the township of Eaton was separated from Ridgeville. Its first officers were elected in 1823, while the township was in transition to the new Lorain County. Amherst's township's founding can be traced to one Jacob Shoup. After first settling on the Black River, he moved in 1811 to the Beaver Creek. By 1815, he had erected a grist mill and the area's first distillery. Whiskeyville, today the intersection of Routes 58 and 113, earned its nickname as a center for the production of this important pioneer commodity. As the primary community of the township developed at the Old Spring, it came to be known as Amherst Corners. By 1836, the name Amherstville was recorded in the county offices, and in 1873, the town was incorporated as North Amherst. In 1909, the U.S. Postal Service had to choose between the villages of North and South Amherst. They chose the former, which then became the official and present-day Amherst. In 1917, in the northeast corner of the county, the township of Avon became another of Lorain County's 21 townships to vanish due to city incorporation. In 1814, Wilbur Cahoon had arrived from Montgomery County, New York, to become the first to settle in what was then Troy Township of Cuyahoga County. The farming community grew around its power source, the French Creek. Development along the interurban line would incorporate the northern part of the township into the city of Avon Lake in 1911, with the remainder of the township becoming the village of Avon in 1917. It was families such as the Burrell, Day, and Roots who established themselves in the Sheffield area in 1815 and 16. The township of Sheffield would not actually be created until 1824, when the newly elected Lorain County Commissioners made the township one of the first acts of their administration. The land had been primarily in Cuyahoga County prior to the 1822 reorganization. The southwest corner of the township was in Huron County and is today the only place to find a small section still called Sheffield Township. The remainder of the area has been incorporated, like its neighbor Avon, with the north becoming Sheffield Lake and the south the village of Sheffield. In 1816, Colonel Henry Brown of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, purchased a large tract of land known as Number 6, Range 19. Mr. Brown would later name the township after himself by simply adding Helm to his family name. Like the Old Saxon Ham, the suffix meant home. The Deacon Shepherd family were the first settlers when they arrived on July 4, 1817. The village of Brownhelm Mills, located in Benjamin Bacon's Mill Hollow, was one of 3 communities to develop. Bacon's Corners, or the center, was 3 miles east of the hollow, while just west of the hollow was Rugby, where stores, a church, a school, and the post office were located. The first settlers to the Grafton Township area were Jonathan and Grendall Rawson in 1816. 10 years later, the Rawsons were forced to build a grist mill, or forfeit their land under their original agreement with the Western Reserve Land Company. Railroads and quarries were the greatest influence on the growth of the village the locals called Rawsonville. The quarrying industry in particular was responsible for the influx of French-Canadian, Welsh, Irish, Polish, and German immigrants. In 1877, when the village was being incorporated, the name Rawsonville was dropped in favor of the railroad station name of Grafton. Originally a part of Elyria Township, Carlisle was settled in 1816 by John Bacon of Windham County, Vermont. When the new Lorain County was being organized in 1822, Carlisle Township became its own entity. LaPorte developed as the township village with Phineas Johnson as the first postmaster and hotel owner. In 1840, Anson Brayman's Carlisle Nursery became the first of its kind in Lorain County. Quarrying was another important industry of the township, as the sandstone blocks were used for city buildings as far away as Toronto. Founding father Heman Ely owned over 10,000 acres of the land that would be developed into the township of Elyria, and the city, which also bears his family name. In 1817, Artemus Beebe headed a work crew that came to establish a new village at the Y of the Black River branches. Mills were constructed and the main street cleared. Beebe's crew also erected a home for Mr. Ely at Broad and East Bridge Streets, and a home for himself across the street, which became the Beebe Tavern. Both structures avoided demolition until well into the 20th century. In 1822, Mr. Ely spearheaded the movement to create Lorain County. He donated the land for the county courthouse, thus influencing the choice of Elyria as the county seat. Mr. Ely's little village would develop into a city with a varied industrial base as well as the center of government for Lorain County. Simon Durand came to America as an interpreter for Revolutionary War hero French General Lafayette. Durand remained in the new nation and in the winter of 1817 moved from New York State to the 160 acres he had purchased south of Brownhelm. 10 years later, the population of the area was enough to support the formation of a new township. With the southern portion ceded to Brighton and the northern portion annexed from Brownhelm, the township of Henrietta was created in 1827. Although New England families represented the majority of settlers to the area in 1818, one of the pioneers was William Welling of Montgomery County, New York. History is not clear if the community was named in honor of Welling or for the famous English Duke of Wellington, hero of Europe's recent Napoleonic Wars. With the coming of the railroad, Wellington grew into an agricultural marketplace, and in fact was the nation's leader in cheese production from 1870 to 1900. The county fair, now located in Wellington, helps to continue the depiction of small-town America shown in native son Archibald Willard's famous painting, The Spirit of '76. In 1818, Joseph Sage and the family of his son-in-law, John Laborie, journeyed through a severe winter from Connecticut to their new homestead in Huntington Township. More pioneering families came to the area, and by 1822, the population was such that the Medina County Commissioners incorporated the township using the Huntington, Connecticut hometown of many of the settlers as its new name. Lumber, grain, and cheese dominated the local economy. In 1824, when Lorain County came into full operation, Huntington was transferred from Medina County. The citizens of Old Russia Township, that had been first settled in 1818, requested detachment from Black River Township in 1825. The town and college of Oberlin were founded in 1833 and would grow to dominate the area. The Oberlin concept combined a Christian community and a Christian coeducational institute. Through the influence of founders John Shippard and Philo Stewart, New York businessman Arthur Tappan, and noted evangelist Charles Finney, the college would become not only co-ed, but also multiracial and the nation's leader in the abolitionist movement. The independent spirit that created the first Russia Township was evident once again in 1992, as New Russia Township detached itself from Oberlin. In 1820, the Peter Penfield family began the permanent settlement of the area he had first selected in the fall of 1818. Penfield Township's organizational election was held in April of 1825. The first religious service was held in 1826, and the first school was in session in the summer of 1829. The township's first post office put the emphasis on post and not the office. As the Penfields lived well off the established mail route, a hollow tree near the river was used by the local residents for sending and receiving the mail. The township, with its fertile soil, grew into a part of Lorain County's rich agricultural heritage. In the fall of 1820, Abner Loveland Jr. became the first permanent settler of Brighton. Within a year, the families of Joseph Kingsbury and Abner Loveland Sr. had arrived, and the new community began to grow. With elections held in the spring of 1823, Brighton Township was being organized at the same time the area was being transferred from Medina to Lorain County. Like much of the new county, Brighton was essentially agricultural. Although Pittsfield's first settlers arrived in 1813, the area was considered too dangerous because of the British and Indian activity connected to the War of 1812. By 1820, the land was surveyed, and Milton Whitney became the owner of a large parcel. Whitney arranged for the Waite brothers of Russia Township to become the first permanent settlers in the spring of 1821. By 1831, there were enough residents to request that the county incorporate a township independent of Wellington. Pittsfield was chosen as the township's name to honor the Massachusetts hometown of many of the area's pioneers. LaGrange Township's first settler was Nathan Clark, who in the fall of 1825 established his new homestead on the east branch of the Black River. By the summer of 1826, 14 more settlers had arrived. The name LaGrange, which is French for the farm, was chosen to honor French General Lafayette, as it was also the name of his country estate. In 1827, the area was separated from Carlisle Township and reorganized with elections in April into the new township of LaGrange. By 1875, the center had grown into a village, also incorporated as LaGrange. The pioneer settler of the Camden area was Leonard Clark. Over the next 4 years, other families moved into the area, including Roswell Babcox, who built the first frame house in 1833. Early on, the area was divided between Henrietta and Brighton townships. In 1835, the new township of Camden was created by the county commissioners, and the first elections held in April of 1836. When the first post office was established in 1835, the community was called Panelise. The name was changed to Camden, then later to North Camden. In 1852, the Lake Shore and Michigan Southern Railroad called its station Binghamton, but that was soon changed as the town adopted the name Kipton. Kipton's more important connection to the railroad was a tragic collision in 1891. The wreck was instrumental in the creation of standardized or railroad time. Rochester was the last township within the present-day boundaries of Lorain County to be settled. Stephen Babcock brought his family from Massachusetts in the spring of 1832 to settle on land he had prepared the previous year. The area grew quickly, and by 1835, the commissioners formed a new township with the first elections held in April of 1836. The township's farming and related businesses grew with the population. By 1880, close to 700 citizens lived in the area. The population shifted from Rochester Center to Rochester Station when the Big Four Railroad came through the township. The small-town boom would turn to bust when the railroad eliminated Rochester as a scheduled stop. The depot would be used as a schoolhouse, as the home of the Rochester Rod and Gun Club, and today as the home of the Rochester Historical Society.
There, here, have a treat, okay? No one can deny the loving devotion we get from our dogs, and I think we all agree we get back more love than we give them. I'm Dick Goddard. I'm reminding you, if you share your love with a dog, you'll never regret it. There's really nothing like a dog to spark up your life, whether you're a youngster, a senior citizen, or somewhere in between. And dogs have a whole lot of affection to share. Okay, is that good? You don't have to go far to hear heartwarming adoption stories.
With my husband is like saying man's best friend. He truly loves that dog. He feels it's part human. It's his second daughter, as Erica said. It's definitely a prize. She's queen of the house, basically. She's a good lover. She gives us a lot of attention. She's a good girl.
We had a cat before we had Abby, and Abby adapted very well. She is best friends with that cat. She will not harm that cat in any way. She's amazing. I love her. When I'm in bed at night, Abby will jump up with me and she will pull the covers back and she will lay under the covers and lay her head on the pillow just like a human.
I encourage anyone to go to the Lorain County Kennel to adopt a dog. It's given our family great satisfaction and a great reward.
After, you know, a bad day at work or anytime you come home, it's just always nice. They kind of turn your mood around when you come in the door and they wagging their tails and jumping on you, and it's a great feeling to know that they're happy to see you and that they love you just as much as you love them. She is good with our other dog. She's good with people. She likes attention, and she likes to cuddle up with you.
It's funny when Lily, when you kind of discipline her sometimes when she does something bad, or she always seems to roll on her back and put her paws in the air and just look up at you with a sad look. So it's kind of hard to even get mad at her when she does something like that. So we kind of laugh at that.
And it's always amusing when she does get a spurt of energy and want to run around, and we're always like, oh my gosh, Lily's gonna play now.
Yeah,
so
like sometimes, like when I'm on the couch or whatever, and she'll hop down and she always like tries to bite her own tail, and then that kind of like keys on our other dog, Rocky, to chime in and try to, bite at her tail a little bit, and then they start playing around a little bit.
one day we came home with some food from, I just really wanted a burger. So we had a burger and I had it sitting on the tray table by the couch, and I got up for a minute and got a drink, came back, and Lily was licking her lips. She had eaten the whole thing. And I was not very happy with her, so I screamed and told Kurt to come down and get her away from me because I was just so upset. But we both lived, and I was fine afterwards. One of the best things about adopting a dog from the kennel, at least for us, was, again, just giving this dog, who knows what would have happened to her, a new life, and also giving our other dog a companion during the day. It's just fun to have the two dogs and take them for walks and watch them play, and it brought us closer as well.
It just makes you feel better as a person that, you're giving a dog a better chance to live a life.
Actually, I enjoy the exercise because I need to, trying to lose weight. Salem makes me get out of the house every day, and so I have to take him for a walk, even if I don't want to. And he's not that much trouble because he was pretty much housebroken when I got him from the pound. I really like the older pet because Salem was kind of, whoever had him before, they really kind of housebroken, so I didn't really have to go through the potty training deal. I just had to let him out and find a place for him to go. And I think older pets, especially for people who don't have children, are kind of good because Salem, he's real playful, but he's not, he gets tired and he lays down and he doesn't want to be bothered, and that's fine with me. So he's not always wanting to play, because puppies have a lot of energy. And Salem has quite a bit of energy, but sometimes he just lays on his pillow and he's like, don't bother me, I won't bother you. And sometimes when he wants to play, and that's okay. I got Salem at the Lorain County Dog Pound. I found him on the internet, actually. They had his picture on the internet, and so I called and he was still there, and so I immediately went over and looked at him. We went outside and played, and he jumped in the car and wouldn't get out, and there we were. So we were on our way home. So it was love at first sight. He's a very good companion. I can always depend on him to be here and greet me with, open arms when I come in the door. He's very protective of me, and he lets me know when anyone is outside or in the driveway. So I feel safe with Salem. Even though he's a small dog, he gives me a safe feeling just in my own home. If I'm having a bad day sometimes and I'm just not in a real good mood, he'll come up and snuggle up to me like, hey Mom, it's okay. I think other people should adopt a pet, and even an older dog. The Lorain County Pound has so many wonderful dogs. All you have to do is go over there and look. I mean, even now, I still go on the website and I tell Salem, don't you want a little brother or sister? Because they have all these little cute dogs over there, and they all need good homes. And if you're looking to adopt a pet, I suggest you try the Lorain County Dog Pound first. I mean, you pay for the license and just a nominal fee, and you got a great dog and a great companion and somebody that's going to be in your life for the rest of your life, and they'll love you no matter what.
Hello, my fellow commissioners and I are here at the Lorain County Dog Kennel on Hathaway Street, just south of Elyria City Discount, Value City. We invite you to stop out and see the facility here. We have lots of dogs available for adoption. We also encourage all dog owners to register your dog each year and get a dog license. That's your dog's ticket home in case it gets lost. It has a number and can easily be identified so that your dog can be returned to you in case he or she might take a little walk and you are unaware of it.
Along with the regular licensing that the county requires for all dogs, we also have a special dog license. It's a special heart medical care license tag for an additional $5. And the proceeds from that go to help us when we pick up a stray that's injured, hurt, or needs extreme medical care. It helps defer the cost for us. So next time you get your dog license, please pick up the special heart tag.
The Lorain County Commissioners would like to welcome you to come down to the Lorain County Dog Kennel. We also have a website that you can check out. Just click on Dogs to Adopt. There's plenty of dogs to choose from. It's like this little girl right here. This is Sadie. You can come down, make sure it's a good match for you, take the dog out, take it for a walk. But please, if you're thinking about adopting a dog, come out to the Lorain County Dog Kennel and see if there's a match for you.
Give the Lorain County Dog Kennel a call or check their website for photos of currently available dogs. Remember, your best friend is just waiting for you.
Carpooling, a great way to save on fuel, tolls, and parking. Serving 13 counties, secure and safe Ohio rideshare makes it easy to connect with carpool partners safely. You control information shared. Discuss your destinations and needs through our safe site. Carpooling reduces pollution and traffic congestion, while it lowers stress and gives riders time to read, work, sleep, socialize. 1-800-825-RIDE or register online at ohiorideshare.com. Point, click, ride.
Doing there. Here, have a treat, okay? No one can deny the loving devotion we get from our dogs, and I think we all agree we get back more love than we give them. I'm Dick Goddard. I'm reminding you, if you share your love with a dog, you'll never regret it. There's really nothing like a dog to spark up your life, whether you're a youngster, a senior citizen, or somewhere in between. And dogs have a whole lot of affection to share. Okay, is that good? You don't have to go far to hear heartwarming adoption stories.
With my husband is like saying man's best friend. He truly loves that dog. He feels it's part human. It's his second daughter, as Erica said. It's definitely a prize. She's queen of the house, basically. She's a good lover. She gives us a lot of attention. She's a good girl.
We had a cat before we had Abby, and Abby adapted very well. She is best friends with that cat. She will not harm that cat in any way. She's amazing. I love her. When I'm in bed at night, Abby will jump up with me and she will pull the covers back and she will lay under the covers and lay her head on the pillow just like a human.
I encourage anyone to go to the Lorain County Kennel to adopt a dog. It's given our family great satisfaction and a great reward.
After, a bad day at work or anytime you come home, it's just always nice. They kind of turn your mood around when you come in the door and they wagging their tails and jumping on you, and it's a great feeling to know that they're happy to see you and that they love you just as much as you love them. She is good with our other dog. She's good with people. She likes attention, and she likes to cuddle up with you.
It's funny when Lily, when you kind of discipline her sometimes when she does something bad, or she always seems to roll on her back and put her paws in the air and just look up at you with a sad look. So it's kind of hard to even get mad at her when she does something like that. So we kind of laugh at that.
And it's always amusing when she does get a spurt of energy and want to run around, and we're always like, oh my gosh, Lily's going to play now.
Yeah,
so
like sometimes, when I'm on the couch or whatever, and she'll hop down, and she always tries to bite her own tail, and then that kind of keys on our other dog, Rocky, to chime in and try to, bite at her tail a little bit, and then they start playing around a little bit.
One day we came home with some food from, I just really wanted a burger. So we had a burger and I had it sitting on the tray table by the couch, and I got up for a minute and got a drink, came back, and Lily was licking her lips. She had eaten the whole thing, and I was not very happy with her. So I screamed and told Kurt to come down and get her away from me because I was just so upset. But we both lived, and I was fine afterwards. One of the best things about adopting a dog from the kennel, at least for us, was again just giving this dog, who knows what would have happened to her, a new life, and also giving our other dog a companion during the day. It's just fun to have the two dogs and take them for walks and watch them play, and it brought us closer as well.
It just makes you feel better as a person that you're giving a dog a better chance to live a life.
Actually, I enjoy the exercise because I need to, trying to lose weight. Salem makes me get out of the house every day. And so I have to take him for a walk, even if I don't want to. And he's not that much trouble because he was pretty much housebroken when I got him from the pound. I really like the older pet because Salem was kind of, whoever had him before, they really kind of housebroken. So I didn't really have to go through the potty training deal. I just had to let him out and find a place for him to go. And I think older pets, especially for people who don't have children, are kind of good because Salem, he's real playful, but he's not, he gets tired and he lays down and he doesn't want to be bothered, and that's fine with me. So he's not always wanting to play, because puppies have a lot of energy. And Salem has quite a bit of energy, but sometimes he just lays on his pillow and he's like, don't bother me, I won't bother you. And sometimes when he wants to play, and that's okay. I got Salem at the Lorain County Dog Pound. I found him on the internet, actually. They had his picture on the internet, and so I called and he was still there. And so I immediately went over and looked at him. We went outside and played, and he jumped in the car and wouldn't get out, and there we were. So we were on our way home. So it was love at first sight. He's a very good companion. I can always depend on him to be here and greet me with, open arms when I come in the door. He's very protective of me, and he lets me know when anyone is outside or in the driveway. So I feel safe with Salem. Even though he's a small dog, he gives me a safe feeling just in my own home. If I'm having a bad day sometimes and I'm just not in a real good mood, he'll come up and snuggle up to me like, hey Mom, it's okay. I think other people should adopt a pet, and even an older dog. The Lorain County Pound has so many wonderful dogs. All you have to do is go over there and look. I mean, even now, I still go on the website and I tell Salem, don't you want a little brother or sister? Because they have all these little cute dogs over there, and they all need good homes. And if you're looking to adopt a pet, I suggest you try the Lorain County Dog Pound first. I mean, you pay for the license and just a nominal fee, and you got a great dog and a great companion and somebody that's going to be in your life for the rest of your life and they'll love you no matter what.
Hello, my fellow commissioners and I are here at the Lorain County Dog Kennel on Hadaway Street, just south of Elyria City Discount, Value City. We invite you to stop out and see the facility here. We have lots of dogs available for adoption. We also encourage all dog owners to register your dog each year and get a dog license. That's your dog's ticket home in case it gets lost. It has a number and can easily be identified so that your dog can be returned to you in case he or she might take a little walk and you are unaware of it.
Along with the regular licensing that the county requires for all dogs, we also have a special dog license. It's a special heart medical care license tag for an additional $5. And the proceeds from that go to help us when we pick up a stray that's injured, hurt, or needs extreme medical care. It helps defer the cost for us. So next time you get your dog license, please pick up the special heart tag.
The Lorain County Commissioners would like to welcome you to come down to the Lorain County Dog Kennel. We also have a website that you can check out. Just click on Dogs to Adopt. There's plenty of dogs to choose from. Just like this little girl right here. This is Sadie. You can come down, make sure it's a good match for you, take the dog out, take it for a walk. But please, if you're thinking about adopting a dog, come out to the Lorain County Dog Kennel and see if there's a match for you.
Give the Lorain County Dog Kennel a call or check their website for photos of currently available dogs. Remember, your best friend is just waiting for you.